All right, here now with reaction, former senior advisor to President Trump, Stephen Miller, and former House Intel Committee Chair Devin Nunes, now the head of Truth Social. Devin, you went head-to-head with him. Not only did he tell a lie day after day after day, you were proven correct in what you were telling the public, but even to this very day, he's clinging to the Russia hoax lie in comments that he made earlier today.
Yeah, he will still continue to do that. He's running for Senate in California and now is actually in the lead. I think everybody just has to take a step back here and look at what really happened. You have a corrupt DOJ, corrupt FBI that worked with the Clinton campaign to launch this hoax that still continues today. They got away with it then, and they're getting away with it now. And I think it's getting worse and worse. And you see it, and it's sad because you would hope that those guys that got spared, you were playing them, some of the FBI guys that were involved in this hoax. You see them. You see what they're saying. You would think this would be a time to take a step back and notice, hey, Durham didn't call me. Durham didn't even subpoena me. I never had to answer any questions. But instead, they're doubling down. They show no remorse. And I think that's why you see many people in the United States Congress and many people all over America saying, look, the FBI is hopelessly corrupted. And I think that's where it's at now.
And I think a lot of people rightly are calling for the FBI to be defunded and maybe, you know, a new premier law enforcement agency will come up in its wake, Stephen Miller, because unfortunately, I think it's been so politicized and weaponized, I'm not sure you can even fix it at this point.
Well, let's not mince our words. What you saw in 2016, continuing out through the entirety of the Trump presidency, was a coup by an unelected bureaucracy, an attempt to throw Donald Trump out of the White House, and then a continuing, sustained, unrelenting attempt to undermine his presidency every single day he was in office, and then to jail his staff and his advisors, from Mike Flynn to Paul Manafort and on down the list. And that effort has continued and become this series of prosecutions, including the investigations now by DOJ, for the purpose of keeping him out of the White House yet again. These are the kinds of tactics that you see in banana republics, in despotic regimes, in failed third world states. The task of reforming the security state and federal law enforcement is a matter of survival for American democracy, to continue to be a self-governing republic where the people, not the elites, not the corrupt media, and not the corrupt bureaucracy, choose our leaders.
You know, and Devin, it continued in 2020. I mean, the FBI had Hunter Biden's laptop in December of 2019. John Solomon says it was verified as authentic in the spring of 2020. Then why were FBI agents in the months leading up to the 2020 presidential election, why were they meeting weekly with big tech companies, warning them that they may be victims of a misinformation campaign, and it may be about Joe Biden and even Hunter Biden, at least according to the Missouri case, which I have cited often. So is that any different? Are they not putting cinder blocks on the scale of a presidential election? They knew that this document would come out. They knew that Hunter's laptop would come out because they knew Rudy Giuliani had a copy of it.
Yeah, look, they hid that. It was a scheme. It was no different than the Russia hoax. Well, they created the Russia hoax because they thought the Russians or someone else were going to release Hillary Clinton's real emails, which, by the way, we never found. Nobody ever saw them. They were worried about that. That's why they created this scheme. 2020, they did the same thing. And what they've done is they've poisoned millions of Americans' minds, where you have so many people out there that I bet, Sean, if you did a poll today, you probably still have half of America who still thinks that Trump and Republicans have something to do with Russia, when the reality is the only people who've had anything to do with Russia was Hillary. And now you've
actually,
got
a Rasmussen poll shows that, you know, the vast overwhelming majority of independents, Republicans, and almost 50% of Democrats see that things would not run right in 2020, especially in light of the Hunter Biden laptop
during
issue.
the election. Yeah, during the election. I think that has broken through. And I think that's why you see the polls look really good for Donald Trump. But still, there is a two-tier justice system in this country, and the Republicans in Congress have a hell of a job to do in the future, because I think, you know, not having a a trustworthy DOJ and FBI is, as Stephen just said, it leads to a banana republic, stuff you see in the third world.
Oh, what's scheduled for 2024?
There must be accountability, Sean. There must be accountability.
And that's the sad part. You know, all these years later, nobody's being held accountable. Anyway, Stephen, thank you. Devin, thank you. Coming up, damning new information on the Biden's close ties to China, including a possible link between a Biden think tank and the CCP. John Levine and Greg Jarrett have the very latest as we continue.